Last lesson for Geometry Unit B, and this is B11. We're going to use the distance formula. Like the midpoint formula, the distance formula is going to be on the ACT, guaranteed. So you need to get it down. Okay, let me tell you what the distance formula is. The distance from one point to the next is y2 minus y1. You subtract them, and then you square your answer. If you square your answer, you're always going to get a positive number right here. Plus y2 minus y1. You subtract them, and you square it. You're always supposed to get a positive number. This is a positive number, and this is a positive number, and we add, we're going to get a positive number unless we get 0. Okay? Now, I guess we would never get 0 unless the 2 points are the same point. Okay, so what we're going to do, if you have to label these, x1, y1, x2, y2. And you can definitely, you could have said x2, y2, x1, y1. It doesn't matter which one you call 1 and 2's, but if this one is a 1, then that one's a 1. If this one's a 2, then that one's a 2. That does matter. You can't flip-flop them that way. Okay. But normally people want to put the 1's first and the 2's second. Here we go. I strongly suggest you write that down every single time. X2 is 3 minus x1 is 6. Y2 is 8 minus y1 is 4. If you can write that down like that, you are pretty much on the home stretch of getting this problem right, okay? Especially if you had a calculator handy. I did not bring a calculator home with me, and that's where I'm doing all of these recordings. So I'm going to have to do these the old-fashioned way, which is fine. I'm not scared. But a calculator would help you a lot. If you're using a calculator, I cannot stress enough that you must use the parentheses. So now we're going to do that one more time, and we're going to do the subtraction. 3 minus 6 is -3. 8 minus 4 is 4. Squaring means multiply by itself, so -3 times -3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. The square root means what was multiplied by itself to get 25, and the answer is 5. The hardest part is writing it down. The square root, parentheses, squared, plus parentheses, squared. X2 minus x1, y2 minus y1, eight minus 2 is 6, 0 minus 8 is -8, 6 times 6 is 36, -8 times -8 is positive 64, 100, what times what's 100? 10. -9 minus 0. 5, watch. This is always subtraction. because that's what was in the formula, right? But what are we subtracting? We're subtracting a -7. So there's going to be two negatives there. But what happens if you subtract a negative? It turns into a positive. -9 minus 0 is -9. 5 plus 7 is 12. -9 times -9 is a positive 81. 12 times 12 is 144. 81 plus 144 is 225. And 15 times 15 is 225. -9 minus a -7, 3 minus 10. Make those pluses. -9 plus 7 is -2. 3 minus 10 is -7. -2 times -2 is 4. -7 times -7 is 49. Okay, now you're like, what times itself gives you 53? Okay, nothing times itself is 53. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 53 is between those two whole numbers. So either this is finished or it can be simplified. If we know our prime numbers, anything goes into this, it's just one in itself. If it's a prime number, then this is finished. Nothing goes into 53 besides 1 and 53. So this is our answer. Okay. I know that some of you guys are going to struggle with this concept. My calculators will help you. I want you to know this. You're supposed to know this, but I know that you see it and then you forget it and everything. So don't stress on this part, especially if you're doing this lesson in my class where I can help you with the calculator. Two minus 0, 8 minus a -3 plus plus. 2 minus 0 is 0. 8 plus 3 is 11. Okay. Now, 120, there's nothing to multiply by itself to get 125. But 125 is not prime. So what we have to do if we do not have a calculator is do that wonderful thing called a factor tree. What goes into 125? 5 does. How many times? Well, 125 divided by 5 is 25. 25 is prime, so I'm going to circle it. Let me make sure 5 is prime, so I'm going to circle it. 25 is not prime, so it has to be broken down even more. What goes into 25? 5 does. How many times? 5 times. 5 is prime, so I circle it. 5 is prime, and so I circle it. Okay, not too bad. I've seen a lot worse. Square root, there's an understood 2 here. If there's an understood 2 here, I need groups of 2, if I have any, to come outside. So do I have a pair? Yes. I have this pair. Since these two are 5s, the 5 will come on the outside because that's a group of 5. That one is this one. Since this didn't have another one to go with it, it goes back inside the square root. So 5 square root of 5 is our simplified radical form. We're not going to have decimals on this because we're not going to round. Let's do that one more time. -10 minus a -2, -9 minus a -7, plus plus, plus plus. -8, -2, -64, plus 4, -68 is not prime. If it's not prime and it's not a perfect square, then we have to break it down again. What goes into 68? You can use anything that goes into 68. And 68 is even, so some people would want to start with 2. I'm going to show you that you don't have to start with 2 and what you would do if you didn't start with a prime number. Let's say 4. 4 goes into 68 17 times. I divided 68 by 4 and I got 17. 17 is prime because nothing else goes into 17, so I'm going to circle it. 4 is not prime, so we're going to keep on trucking. What goes into 4? 2 and 2. Now both of these are prime, so I'm going to circle them. After the tree dwindles down and you have everything circled, you're finished with factoring tree. Now we're going to look for our pairs. Do we have any pairs? Yes. So whatever the pair is made up of goes outside, and whatever doesn't have a pair has to go back inside. Again, my calculators will do it for you, but that's how you do it if you do not have the calculator that simplifies radicals. Have fun. That's it for Unit B. It's test time.